and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. All right, as we look forward to the road to NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, got a series of best of videos here for takeovers, the best non-title matches, the best tag title matches, women's title, overall matches. Kind of break down every category of NXT as we look forward to the road to NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. So this is the best NXT TakeOver non-title matches of the, 18 previous TakeOvers we've had. Number 10 comes from TakeOver Orlando, Aleister Black versus Andrade Cien Almas. What can you say about Aleister Black? One of the greatest NXT guys right now. Just his character, the way he's developed it. Andrade Cien Almas, currently NXT champion. This match, I gave it 3 3/4 star. Aleister Black getting the victory as he had that undefeated streak until recently. Number 9 on the list comes from way back, NXT TakeOver The End, which was Shinsuke Nakamura versus A-Double Austin Aries. I gave it 3 3/4. Nakamura getting the victory. Obviously, Nakamura moved up to the SmackDown roster. Austin Aries has now left. He is going to be currently, whatever you want to look at it, on the Impact Wrestling tapings. Austin Aries wins the Impact World Championship. Hasn't aired yet, but so it's not official. But number 8 comes from TakeOver Toronto. We had 2 Canadian wrestlers facing off. We had Bobby Roode versus the Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. Bobby Roode got the victory. I gave it 3 3/4 star. I thought it was a very enjoyable match. Bobby Roode, just as much talent that there is there. Watching him come up through TNA and on NXT and now onto the SmackDown roster. You know, just the gimmick at first kind of, I hated the Glorious gimmick, but I kind of really like it now. Glorious! Bobby Roode's always been one of my favorites. Same getting a victory over Ty Dillinger there at NXT Toronto. Number 7 on the list comes from NXT Brooklyn 3, which was Hideo Itami versus Aleister Black. I give this match 3 3/4 star. Very enjoyable, two very talented wrestlers. The best part of it all for me was more the build-up of this. That black mask kick that Hideo Itami has, where he can just basically stare you straight in the eye and turn around and kick you like that, kind of like the super kick to Shawn. Just amazing. And when Hideo Itami hits the GTS, I was expecting crowds to just lose their shit because of CM Punk, as bad as everybody wants CM Punk back. But I don't know if they realize it's the same move, or if Hideo Itami created it and Punk got it from him. But the crowd never really reacts. When they had NXT Chicago and it was Itami versus McIntyre for the title, I was really expecting when he hit that GTS for the crowd to go crazy, and they really didn't. Aleister Black getting the victory, kind of more building up Aleister Black here. Number 6 on the list comes from NXT TakeOver London. A non-title women's match. Asuka versus Emma. Asuka, who, if you look at my WWE women's rankings, the number 2 woman in WWE, the second number 2 woman in WWE right now, behind Charlotte. She has the undefeated streak. She had the 523-day NXT women's title streak. But her versus Emma in London, I gave it 4 stars. Asuka could end up being one of the greatest, if not the greatest, women's wrestler ever. This Women's Revolution from a few years ago, and now this year we have the Women's Royal Rumble, which I believe Asuka will probably win. So Asuka, just amazing as she is. Emma, I wasn't a big fan of hers, but she does have talent. You know, too bad WWE let her go. But number 5 on the list comes from NXT TakeOver War Games. Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream. Well, like I said in the preview of this, I was picking Aleister Black to win. Not a big Velveteen Dream fan. I said in the review of NXT TakeOver War Games what a match this was. Velveteen Dream now I have more respect for. I think he's a lot more talented than I thought he was. Still don't like the character much. But just for Aleister Black never to say his name during the promos and lead up, to go out there and put on a 4-star match, 4-star plus match, and then at the end, the respect that Aleister had and just said, said his name, it's like, dude, I respect you now, but I still just kicked your ass. Number 4 on the list comes from NXT TakeOver rival. We had Finn Balor versus Neville. Finn Balor, I think people think he's more talented than he is. I give him credit. He's a talented guy. He does some great moves. But I think there's a lot of wrestling fans that put him on a higher pedestal. This was a 4.25-star match versus Neville. Two guys that had the same background, came from New Japan, came to WWE on a different path, it seemed like, in WWE. Finn Balor was on the Universal title path. He was able to win the Universal title. Unfortunately got hurt, had to relinquish it. Has been kind of in a secondary title hunt. Neville, on the other hand, could never really get over on the main roster. He was one of the longest reigning NXT. He was the longest reigning NXT champion before Finn Balor. And when he gets to the main roster, they really didn't do a lot with him. He didn't really go anywhere. They had to turn him heel and put him with the cruiserweights for him to really be legit. It's just, I think WWE a lot of times, they get an idea for a guy, and that's the only idea that'll ever work for him. It may be the cruiserweight division, it may be like IC title, US title, but like Finn Balor, he can be a world champion. Neville could be a world champion. But Balor getting the victory there. Number 3 on the list comes from TakeOver Arrival, which was the very first TakeOver show. We had Cesaro versus Sami Zayn. Cesaro getting the victory in a 4.25-star match. One of the greatest NXT TakeOver matches. Just knowing how talented both these guys are. In my mind, neither one of these guys is a developmental guy. They're both main roster guys from the start. But the average wrestling fan didn't know them, so you have to build them up. I get it. Cesaro getting the victory. Sami Zayn putting on a hell of a match. Number 2 on the list comes from TakeOver Dallas. Sami Zayn, once again, versus his first ever WWE NXT match, Shinsuke Nakamura, TakeOver Dallas. I gave it 4.5 star. Nakamura, very talented, can get stale pretty quick. WWE seems like they don't have a lot of what do we do with this guy. They kind of put him in a tag match now with Randy. They had him get beat down in the ladder matches. Like they're trying to protect him too much. Go ahead and have matches like this for Shinsuke. Put it, he's fine. Shinsuke getting the victory there in the very best non-title takeover match I've ever seen. Of all the takeovers, TakeOver War Games, the War Games match, Undisputed Era versus Sanity versus AOP and Roderick Strong. Bringing back the War Games match and just the talent that was in that ring. AOP, as big as they are and as strong as they are, I think they can wrestle. I think they're a viable tag team to WWE. Sanity, don't like the gimmick really. It's kind of weird, but Killian Danes, Eric Young, Alexander Wolf, they can wrestle. They're a viable team, Roddy Strong, obviously one of the best in the world. Undisputed Era. What more do you say? Adam Cole, baby! Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, some of the greatest athletes in WWE. So I give it 4.5 star, and it was the top of the non-title takeover matches ever. So stay tuned to Robert Sports Show. For the next road to NXT TakeOver, we'll have the best tag title matches in NXT TakeOver history. As always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and don't just have a great day. Have a spiffy day. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channel content.